Do you know in the Soviet Constitution of 1918, the people that were allowed to vote versus the people that weren't allowed to vote was the difference between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat? Wait a second. You own property? Wait a second. You hire out employees? You steal the value of their labor? You don't have a right to vote. You don't have a right to vote. But wait, you're a working class person? You're a working class person and your work produces value? Incredible. Then yes, you have a right to vote. All you working people who produce value, you got a right to vote. All you soldiers in the Army and the Navy, you got a right to vote. And I guess that's it. Workers and soldiers. Workers and soldiers, the people that don't have a right to vote, according to the Soviet Constitution, are the people who hire others in order to take the value of their labor, also those who make interest off their capital, also those who make receipts from their property, also the Okharana, the OKH, so they're very, and the Gendarmerie and the Okharana, and the bankers and the private merchants and the monks and the clergy. No, you don't have a right to vote. Monks and clergy, private merchants and bankers and the old police and military, the old government, of course, the mentally deficient and the crazy, we can't let them vote either. Those people cannot vote. So it's very U.S. Revolution, very George Washington Revolution, right? Revolution for very minority, but most of the people don't even get the right to vote. Most of the people don't even get the right to vote. Okay, so this is just a 1918 timeline. Maybe this would be exciting to you or not. It's exciting to me. And really, according to the Bolsheviks, they're going to say that they're fighting for the liberation of Ukraine. The Ukrainian nationalists are going to say that they're fighting for the independence of Ukraine. So who's actually fighting for the independence of Ukraine? Is it the Bolsheviks? Is it the Central Rada? According to the Bolsheviks, they're fighting for the liberation of Ukraine, and they're having to fight against the Western and, Central European powers, including Poland, or the Polish Republic. In 1918, there were two Soviet Ukraine governments, one German occupation, and also in 1918, you had one national Ukraine government collapse, the Central Rada, the one that was being run by Mikhailo Hrushevsky. The Hetmanate of Ukraine is created by the German occupation, and one national council for the West Ukrainian People's Republic is formed also. In 1918, the Ukrainian nationalists, on the other hand, they're fighting for independence of Ukraine against the Bolsheviks. Also against Germany, Britain, Austria, France, U.S., and the Polish Republic as well. So really, who do you believe? Who do you believe? Is it the Bolsheviks? Are the Bolsheviks telling the goddamn truth? Or is it Central Rada? Mikhailo Hrushevsky. January 3rd, 1918. On January 3rd, the Red Army is going to take Kharkiv. The Ukrainian forces at that time consisted of two regular troop formations, the Zaporozhian Corps and the Sikh Riflemen, as well as partisan detachments. These partisans were led by unreliable atamans, which occasionally sided with the Bolsheviks, such as Zeleny, Angel, and Hrihoryev. The Ukrainian army, which had over 100,000 men, fell to about 25,000 men due to peasants leaving the army, desertations to the Bolsheviks. Bobo Chan, with the remnants of the Zaporizhian Corps, retreated to Poltava, which was holding off the Red Army for a couple weeks more. January 8th, 1918, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson issues his 14 points. On his 14 points, his weak-ass 14 points, he says, number one, we're going to have free peace envoys. So, free peace envoys. We need to get some peace, so we need to be able to get together to talk. We don't need stipulations for talks. Diplomacy shall be free and frank and in, full public view. That's number one. Number two, we need absolute freedom of the seas, especially outside of territorial waters. It's not buy your fucking country. It's not your seas. We need to be able to trade. Also, free trade. No tariffs. We don't need to have a bunch of high taxes on our trade goods. So those are the top 3 of Woodrow Wilson's 14 points, right? Free peace envoys, absolute freedom of the seas, and free trade. Okay, all right. Number 4, where's the democracy, though? Where's the elections? Where's the ranked choice voting? Reduction, number 4. Reduction of national armaments to the lowest amount possible. So everybody just, get rid of all your weapons on your own accord. Number 5, colonial claims have to consider the people's claims as well as the imperial conquerors' claims too. Evacuation of these 14 points are actually going to lead to the peace of, the Germans are going to agree to like all the 14 points in order for diplomacy. They're like, yeah, we'll agree to all 14 points. How about that? Nah, we agree to all 14 points there, Woodrow Wilson. He said that Woodrow Wilson is a racist. Anyways, okay. Colonial claims, evacuation. Evacuation of all Russian territory. Basically, he's saying let Russia be and do Russia, right? You just had the Bolshevik fucking revolution. They overthrew the Tsar. And he's saying evacuation of all Russian territory. So I think he's telling the Germans, right, get out of Russia. Get out of Russia. Let Russia do Russia. Let it establish itself. Let it come up with its own national institutions. Almost seems like he might be hopeful. Woodrow Wilson seems like he might be hopeful for the Bolsheviks in the Constituent Assembly. Which is ironic because we're going to have the Red Scare and he's going to have to, smash the Red Scare with, Supreme Force, J. Mitchell Palmer, which is a precursor to the, the Palmer raids, but also FBI. J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI. Belgium must be evacuated and restored. So this is, Germany, right? I think this is all to really Germany. Germany. We need freedom of the seas. We need free trade. You got to have free peace envoys. Britain had a problem with freedom of the seas. Reduction of national armaments to lowest amount possible. Colonial claims have to consider the people's claims. Germany, get out of Russia. Germany, get out of Belgium. Germany, get out of France. Germany and France, why don't you settle that 50-year Alsace-Lorraine problem once and for all, goddammit. Point number 9, the frontiers of Italy should be changed to reflect the Italian speakers in neighboring regions. Not in Italy yet. So islands that were speaking Italian are going to be part of Italy now. Austria-Hungary should have autonomy and be allowed to develop. So the empire collapsed, but I wonder if he's just saying that Austria and Hungary are their own nations. The German occupations of Serbia, Montenegro, Romania have ended. They must end, and Serbia must be allowed to access the sea. So, Romania, right? Germany, get the hell out of Serbia, get the hell out of Montenegro, get the hell out of Romania, get the hell out of France, get the hell out of Russia, get the hell out of Belgium. Turkey's allowed to exist. There's no more Ottoman Empire, but Turkey can exist. So just like Austria-Hungary, let them, develop. All nations under the Ottoman are now free. So kind of like the old Soviet Union, but Russia gets to exist. And also Dardanelles is open. Dardanelles is open. Free passage to the ships and commerce to all nations. The independent Polish state is erected with all Polish populations included in it and has free and secure access to the sea. An independent Poland with the Polish people in it, and they have access to the sea. Fantastic. So he's like, Serbia gets to exist, Poland gets to exist, and the Polish state erected. So did he create the Polish state? And then the 14th and the best point of all the points. The League of Nations or a United Nations or something like that should be established. We need to have a world body that kind of talks about the issues of the day. And that was the 14 points issued January 8th, 1918. January 10th, 1918, the Republic of the Dawn. The Republic of the Don declares independence January 18th to 1918. The Constituent Assembly opens January 18th, 1918. The Bolsheviks and the left socialist revolutionaries occupied the extreme left of the House. Next to them sat the crowded socialist revolutionary majority. Then the Mensheviks. The benches on the right were empty. A number of cadet deputies had already been arrested. The rest stayed away. The entire assembly was socialist, but the Bolsheviks were only a minority.